Welcome to channel news and updates for the month of July 2015. This is an idea that I wanted to try. It's still somewhat in the development stages as far as working out the kinks, getting the format right, and so on. But this is something I want to try to put out ideally at the beginning of each month, just to keep the viewership up to date as to what's going on with the channel, the status of current projects, any future plans that are coming up in the next month or two, and other sort of interesting or relevant news that I come across. This is not going to be necessarily a gaming news in general. It's going to be pretty focused on just any content that I'm creating myself. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and step into the actual monthly news. In this month's news, I have new bandwidth, some new software, some old projects to revisit, as well as some new projects to announce. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I recently found out that I could upgrade my internet speed, and after doing so, I have roughly triple the upload speed as I previously had. Also, I may be able to double what I currently have, which opens up several very interesting possibilities. With my current upload speed, I can upload a little bit over an hour of video per night. This opens the possibility of having regular content being uploaded in order and not having to rely on sort of non-sequential filler videos just so that I can squeeze out as much video as possible. That tended to make production, let's call it, messy. If I can double my current speeds, then I have a chance of being able to return to streaming, but there are two conditions. First, I know I won't be able to stream at 720, which is what I used to stream at. From the research I've done, 480 is going to be the maximum I'm going to be able to stream at, and if I can't stream at 480, there's really no point. It's going to be a low bit rate, and by low, it's going to be very much scratching the absolute minimum of what can be sort of acceptable streaming conditions. What that means is no first person, so like no Skyrim, no first person shooters, no KSP, stuff like that. It's going to probably be limited to Dwarf Fortress and probably Hearthstone, those sort of games. The second condition is that I will not know if I'm going to be able to stream until I upgrade. If the upload capacity doesn't work out, then I'm not going to be able to stream until I move. I mean, it's unfortunately the upgrade is going to max out what the infrastructure can handle. That's what the person who I talked to said. So, if this second upgrade doesn't do it, streaming's just going to have to be off the table permanently. Unless, of course, things change and I get new infrastructure, but that's probably not going to happen. After encountering some issues with my old editing software, I decided to scrap it and look for something new. After a little bit of research, I decided to move over to Blender, which is originally, I thought, just 3D modeling software, but it turns out that it has some very nice video editing features. I'm still learning how all the video editing stuff works, but Blender seems to be working just fine for my needs. As far as features, Blender seems to be relatively basic compared to sort of the high-end video editing suites, but as YouTube is very much a hobby for now, I really couldn't justify dropping several $100s on software when there's something that's free and open source, and it fits my needs. As far as actual editing goes, I'm still working on polishing the edges, so for now things are going to be a little on the rough. Things like new graphics, transitions, and so on, are going to be probably later this year before I get around to making them. Of course, I do all my own art, and that is a whole different can of worms. Each sort of piece takes several hours, so on and so forth. Also, music, there's not really an ETA for that. It's got its own issues. I'd like to compose something myself. I'm not going to go and do licensing through some third party and then have YouTube, big can of worms, not going to touch it. If I'm going to use music, I'm going to do something that's either open source or the sort of equivalent, or I'm going to compose it myself. It gets rid of the can of worms. KSP was officially released about 3 months ago, and about a month ago there was a relatively important patch. For my playstyle, what this has done is remove the need for a lot of the mods I was using. There's still a couple in there, a couple of my mods that I would still want to use, but fewer mods means more stability and sort of less chance for crashing. The patch fixed a couple very important issues, and from what I've seen, there aren't really any other what I consider to be game-breaking bugs or issues that aren't mod-related. So, with that said, at some point I will be starting up a fresh series in KSP, sort of as time permits. Also, Dwarf Fortress has undergone a rather significant number of changes. I had a look at the changelog, and after several pages of sort of interim planning bits, things are actually looking very promising, although a little bit confusing. The last major release was in January, which means that the tools, mods, things like dfhack, the other bits that sort of help smooth out the edges, have had a chance to catch up. So, as with KSP, as time permits, I'm going to be starting a new, either starting a new or returning to the old fortress. Realistically, I'm going to be starting with a fresh world, just to help sort of smooth out the bugs. As far as old projects go, everything's pretty much on hold until either I get some extra free time, or until my current project sort of concludes, as the current project is a little bit time sensitive. So let's go ahead and move over to that. About a month ago, Fallout 4 was officially announced, and as I am a bit of a Fallout fan, I decided to start a project that I'm calling my Fallout project, which is a combined Let's Play of Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. As it stands now, the two separate stories are going to end just in time to start a Let's Play of Fallout 4, sort of on release day. Although, realistically, with how everything has to be done on my end, things are probably going to end up being released sort of on day 2, hopefully, and worst case scenario, day 3. This plan has been sort of in the works for the past 2 weeks, and the sort of announcement videos and whatnot that I have for this are going to be a little bit off as because of the time difference, but things are still very much on schedule. So, a quick overview of the plan, or the project. The plan is to do sort of 30 to 45 episodes of a lightly modded Let's Play of Fallout 3, and then the same for Fallout New Vegas. When I started, I had roughly 120 days before Fallout 4 releases, so if you do sort of the math, 45 to 60 days for one, the same 45 to 60 days for the other, 120 days with a little bit of room for bugs and glitches and whatnot to happen. Which, knowing that Fallout 3 has more than some stability issues, I already got started, and I have several days a little bit over a week of sort of backlogged videos at this point, just to handle the inevitable bugs and stuff that come up. So, after this video, I'm going to have a separate 3 videos, one's to cover the details of the project in its entirety, and then the next 2 cover each of the games and the mods I'm going to be using, as well as some brief thoughts and whatnot I have as to sort of why I'm using those mods. And that video will be coming up as soon as this one goes live. To wrap up the first episode of channel news, I thought I'd share some thoughts and feelings towards the future of the channel. First and foremost, when I created this channel, it was a hobby and a learning experience. Because I only have so much free time that I can put towards this project, in the summer, content is by necessity going to be a little bit slower than sort of in the fall and spring. So with that in mind, until sort of late September, early October, things are going to be relatively slow. I'm still learning the new software and the sort of new production methods. All of that takes time, and originally this video was supposed to come out close to 2 weeks ago. I've been sort of re-recording it several times, trying to get the production stuff pinned down. I'm still a little rusty on the whole recording thing. Of course, before I did a lot of live streaming, so it's a little bit different format. Not quite so much editing, but there's a little bit. Well, of course, there's not actually any editing expected. So things have been a little slow on that front. I do have a few options, sort of coming up with the faster upload speeds that I've got now, and I'm hoping to sort of expand the channel as both time and resources allow. At some point, probably soon-ish, in the next, sort of maybe this weekend or something, I'm going to try and do like a proper channel introduction, start planning out some maybe better graphics, but that's going to have to wait a little bit, as I sort of do all that stuff myself, and it takes several hours potentially. But I think, sort of in conclusion, I'm going to try to get back into the sort of YouTube video scene, as it were. Probably not go too crazy just yet, just time and commitments and whatnot. But once sort of fall arrives and I have more time, possibly start up as many as 3 sort of simultaneous series. Yes, words aren't really working for me this morning. But start up maybe 2 additional series, get that sort of thing going, and then have daily uploads. Again, doable with the faster upload speed. That's going to change if I can do streaming, but at that point, I think things are going to be going in a slightly different direction. So, the TRDL version, getting back into things still. Don't expect a lot of content just yet, but once fall comes, things are going to be picking up, and I'm definitely going to be trying to expand this. So, till next time, stay safe.